Well, I was very intrigued by playing a villain, quote unquote villain, but it was reading the script, I realized it was much more complex than that. And yeah, I just immediately was like it wasn't a want, it was a need to play this role, let's say.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with it. I was sent the script, and obviously I was familiar with the title, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. They're remaking
Hmm.
Behind the Rock's Cradle. And then I read the script, and I had a really rare experience because I didn't know anyone involved. I didn't know Michelle's work at all. But I kind of closed the script and just went like, wow, I want to do this. And usually I'm a little bit more, cautious if I don't really know the filmmaker and I don't know all the elements, but I just knew like there's something special here. This is not a typical kind of film. It's just something really special about it. And then I went and watched Michelle's film, and I was so blown away by that. And I was like, okay, the collaboration of all of
Yeah.
this together is going to be spectacular. And so yeah, I was like, I was no questions asked, kind of in from the get go.
Um, yeah, I mean, I the original. I loved it. It sticks with you, and it's such a fun but also incredibly disturbing film. But when reading this, I was told there was going to be a remake. I read the script, and initially I was like, I don't know if you like touch that. But I read the script, and it really is completely its own. Um, I think it's modernized in the perfect way, not like trying too hard. It's incredibly grounded and really, at its core, like a very simple story, a very like look at these two really complicated female characters.
Yeah, I completely agree. I wasn't as familiar with the original other than kind of knowing the title and knowing the feeling, the posters and the trailers and remembering all of that from when it came out. And I kind of just trusted um, like the creative process, and that we had such an amazing leader in Michelle in terms of honoring the original, and I felt that my job as an actor was to bring something new to it, to create a new character. Um, so I kind of focused on that, and I could tell that there were these through lines throughout the script and throughout the project that were nods to the original, that people are gonna really be into and get a kick out of. But there's also like just a totally new film being crafted that really stands on its own.
Yeah.
Slow burn,
Brooding.
brooding,
Mm,
um, dread, like just this sort of foreboding sense
yeah.
of like coming dread.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Haunting.
haunting.
Um, I think that's good. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
and just scary at the end of the
It's a
day.
little spooky.
Scary. Caitlin is when we first see her in the film, she's a really successful working mom. She's got two kids. One of them is a young baby, and she's sort of trying to find that balance in her life, that a lot of moms are going through these days of, how do I go back to work, or should I stay home, or should I, and how, for how long should I stay home, and all of those kind of questions. And that kind of leads her to bringing Polly into her life, who is a nanny, and kind of offers her the opportunity to take a little break and take a little load off. And so she decides she's going to take time off work and have a nanny, which is something she's never done before, so that she could just have a little more time to herself. And that kind of opens the door towards this new friendship that starts to blossom between her and her nanny, and maybe boundaries that start being crossed. And so there's this domino effect that starts happening little by little, where the cracks in her start showing. And Polly really starts bringing out kind of what's underneath, and all the fears and anxieties and worries that she lives with. And yeah, it all gets unraveled.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Um, Uh, where does one begin with Polly? Um, well, when you meet her, you don't totally know what's going on. I think you can feel that something's off. But it takes a couple of scenes to really start to get an uneasy feeling. Um, and you don't really know her motives or intentions, and then it kind of like slowly starts to unravel, and the truth kind of slowly surfaces of why she's targeted Caitlyn's character, and is seeking revenge in certain ways, and is carrying a lot of anger, um and yeah, it was I had a blast playing her. That's all I have on them. Mm,
Wow.
I just love
I
her.
know she's
She's just the
the
best.
best. So brilliant.
I think for me, there was a concern with a remake. You don't want to just try and copy the original or have it be this. I don't know. And so I think there was a concern, at least for me, with that. And then when I read the script, it was incredible. And then, um, like you said, seeing Michelle's previous work, I was just like, oh, this is gonna be so interesting. Like her um, films in the horror space are so powerful, um, and so imagining her, helming this film, it just was like, oh, absolutely. This actually could be something really magnificent. So, yeah, from the beginning, I had complete faith in her to be able to accomplish this.
Totally. Yeah, I think she's such a true artist, and she
Yeah,
has such a knack for horror, and she's sort of like, it's so funny because she's in a punk band, and so she's got this like
yeah,
kind of hard edge with like, making horror films and things like that, but she's actually like the softest, most lovely human being
yeah,
ever, and I think that's what kind of, it's like the perfect combination of her with this film because it is this like intense, heavy, dark, scary
totally,
film, but it has a heart and it has empathy and it has a softness to it, like an underbelly of compassion in there. And I think that's why she's so suited to that, because she actually has her finger on the pulse of what that is all the time, and doesn't lose sight of it, even with all the scares and the jumps and all of that stuff. She's still kind of holding on to like the heart of who these characters are, which is an amazing thing.
totally.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's two, the story is about two very complex female roles, and so I think it feels right that everyone that's around, that's bringing this world and these characters to life, are female. So I think it was like very comforting, and it felt safe, and it felt like a really like powerful environment, I think, for everyone involved.
Yeah, and there's an ease to that too. It's sort of like there's like an understanding of the story that we're telling, because
Totally.
there is a real female kind of point of view to it in a way, even though, our screenwriter is a very
Yeah.
talented man who wrote the script that I,
Yeah.
connected to so much. But it feels like, because it is a story about these women, and so much of what they're going through is a uniquely female kind of experience.
Totally.
And so I think just having so many women involved, in all these departments, just kind of made it so easy. We didn't really have to explain anything. We all kind of got it.
Got
Like
it.
you just know, you know what it is, and what it's saying without having to explain it to anybody. And so there's a real ease to that as well.
I was very blessed by being approached by 20th Century Studios after they screened my first movie here in the Disney lot, Huesera. And they approached me saying that they've been looking for a pitch, an idea to remake The Hand That Rose a Cradle. And I was very excited about it because I love domestic thrillers, and I understood that they had really like, and they were really open for us to recreate and build a whole story that could be completely different, but also honor the original film with like its main core plot points, you know. And since then, we started writing and working with Micah Bloomberg, and it was just such an organic process. And I really felt like home both in the genre, but also with the whole team. You know, I wouldn't say that I was a big fan. I really liked it, and I feel like it was. I think it's such an iconic and legendary film that created a moment in time. You know, and so I was very impressed when I was kind of intimidated when I first knew I had to remake it. But then that movie had its own processes of building a whole story and its particular characters, and I feel like the best way to honor it was by having that process myself too with my team and my cast. You know, I feel like we hold the heart of it, like the main concept of someone that's taking over your house and want to take over your place in your own family. But then I had my own particular themes that I wanted to explore as a filmmaker, themes that have to do with perpetuation of trauma, cycles of violence. And since then, I was surrounded by a brilliant team, and I was very supported by the studio. So we built every layer, every character, our themes, our universe, our symbols, aesthetics, everything coming up from our particular story, you know. We had a very clear sandbox, but then we had to build our own identity. It's definitely a psychological thriller with a constant sense of dread that keeps growing and growing to the point of an explosive climax. I would say that. Of course, working both with Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Maika Monroe was so amazing. They're so focused and detailed. With both of them, I had very long processes of understanding and analyzing the script and their backstories of each of their characters, and also the story that connect both characters. Then we also had like chemistry sessions to talk with the both of them. So then the moment we reached set, you know, they were already there. They already had full understanding of their characters, so we were able to play. And they're just like incredible actresses that they can go through every emotion, but they both hold this like contained elegance that I really love. They're both scream queens, but they manage to say and to express so much by sometimes very contained eye movements or face like or like, you know, expressions, you know. So it was just very impressive to see. And then when the violence arrives, they always like maintain like the best way of explosion, you know. It was very incredible. They're both mesmerizing, and the whole crew, we were so in awe and with goosebumps by seeing them work on set. You know, honestly, working with female collaborators, it comes very natural to me. I'm always surrounded with like so many of my best friends and people I trust the most. Like, you know, we're women because we share a sense of sensibility, and we sometimes worldview as well. And I think with horror movies and thriller, I think it's really important to embrace like the female perspective or the female gaze, you know, because we embrace or sorry, we live fear in a very particular way that sometimes is very silenced, you know, and many times is like it's not talked about, you know. And I feel like horror really allows us to express those big feelings that many times are, you know, like walking in a dark alley. Like sometimes there's so many emotions inside that we don't even talk about. And so to me, it was just like it kind of comes natural, you know, especially with like a movie like this.